Yo, guys, I got some crazy ones for you today. We've really got two patterns, but these two patterns can become like a multitude of patterns. So this is day 21, repetition, creating, transformation. As always, you're going to need a pencil. You're going to need a pen, some kind of marker, something to shade with. And if you want to add a little pop of color in today's drawing, I might give you some bonus points for that. All right, so let's get our journals out. Let's get some paper out. Let's jump on this. This is Zentangle 21, Rick's Paradox, and Betweed. Let me slide our book away here. All right. So as always, to get us started, we want to get our space ready. So I've got a little card here today. I actually have not done this one in my journal yet, so I've got to get on that. I got to get some get the purple pens out. All right, so let's get started. I'm gonna do 4 corners, little dots here, right? And this is gonna mark my borders for my Zentangle. And I'm gonna imagine a piece of string kind of like laying down over this area. Right, and this is going to become my Zentangle. Now today, like I said, I have 3 patterns. They kind of break out in different ways. So I want to show you kind of what we're getting into before you decide to break this up, because there's some weird shapes happening here. All right, so just to kind of get into this, I have this triangular shape here called Rick's Paradox, and not that you would have to have a triangle in your card, because putting these together side by side and stuff, this thing starts to look crazy wicked. I have Betweed, which can work as a spiral kind of coming out, and then it can also work as a banner. All right, so we have plenty of options when we come into starting to design and create our card. I think I'm definitely gonna set up a banner space here for one Betweed. I might round that off a bit, and then I'm gonna set up kind of a circular spot for the other Betweed, and I might just stack my Betweeds on top of one another. Right, or maybe I'll put it down here, and I'll Rick's Paradoxes everywhere else. Right, so I'm going to get a little more thought into this layout because of today's patterns, and then I'll just let the paradoxes fit kind of within this shape. Give me just a second. Sorry. This is something something to think about. We're day or number 21. A lot of patterns. There's a lot to think about going in here. So yeah, however yours looks, let's get into this. All right, so first one's first. I want to start with Rick's Paradox. Such a cool pattern, and I'm using triangles. That's what our book recommends, but you could technically do this with squares, octagons, hexagons, nonagons, septagons, all the transformers. But let me just show you how this works, okay? I'm going to start by drawing out a triangle, right? And it can be any triangle: obtuse, acute, reptilian, however you want to make your triangle, all right? Yes, I said reptilian. Right, so it's going to give a nice little triangle outline. If you want to use a straight edge for this, you can, but I just like a triangle, right? All right, now this is where things can change. We'll start simple. So I'm just kind of putting another triangle inside of my first triangle, but I'm spinning it a little bit. Okay, so if you look here, it's a smaller triangle, and I'm just kind of offsetting it a bit, so it touches all 3 sides. Right, so I'll go from here to here to here to back, like that. Right, so it's just kind of offset, almost like it's kind of floating inside, and it's just kind of stuck touching the edges. Right now, I've already set this on a path to spin this way because of how I did the first one. Do you see how this lip comes up? It's going this direction. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to do a smaller triangle inside of the second triangle. And then I'm going to do it again. And then I'll do it again. Until, like, feasibly, that triangle tiny. And that's where you kind of can stop. So yeah, do you kind of see how it's like kind of spinning? You can almost follow the edges or the points. Like here are the points. Shoop, shoop, shoop. They kind of like make these shapes. They kind of like all circle in. All right, now Rick's paradox. This is where like it can get really crazy. Because I can like daisy chain these triangles together. I want to show you like what happens when you put these things beside each other. I'm gonna pull the book out as an example of this before I talk about adding value or anything like this. And this is gonna look a little odd here. It's a small little drawing. But what we have here is we have two Rick's paradoxes like put side by side, like almost as like a square is like in half. Sometimes it wants to zoom, sometimes it doesn't. Finger. All right, so if you look like here, there's like a through line down the center, and they spun this one going this way, and they spun this one going this way. So they have them kind of like going like this. So they're offsetting them like equally like away from each other, right? And then this one, they're like kind of mimicking one another. So this one's offset kind of going this way, and this one's also offset kind of going this way, and you get this like cool twist in the middle where these touch. Or you can get these like points. And you can create these like super intricate, crazy patterns with these by letting them like interact and touch with one another. And they can like just fit in their own spaces. Here's a very complex one right here where it just gets smaller and smaller and smaller. They get these really cool. Like here's one as well. Right, really cool pattern. So yeah, Rick's paradox. Pretty interesting, like the way you can kind of stack these kind of with one another to make them work together. And yeah, so when it comes to shading these guys, a lot of it has to do with like how you're designing your card and what that looks like, because that can really matter. The book recommends like picking one side of the curve and just like shading that side, but you get this kind of like spiral value. Do you kind of see that, how it's like coming in like a wind turbine? And it's alright. I think it'd be cooler like if you have a couple of these together and you kind of like show if this is spinning up or spinning down, like maybe it gets darker as it gets closer to the center. But I'm gonna leave that up to you as the creator, as the artist here. And I'm just going to add just a little touch. That way, you know, I've added some value here. And I might go back in and add another Rick's Paradox to this card. Kind of like for me. Alright. So, there we go. Rick's Paradox. Shapes within shapes within shapes within shapes. Turning. And it's all about kind of stacking these together to see what you can come up with. Alright. Rick's Paradox. We'll mark that one off. Alright. Between. We'll do the circle one first. This is not a super complicated pattern. But this is kind of how it works. For this one, you want it to be in an area that's a little more open. Maybe it's an area that's round or ovular. Ovular. Which word? I don't know. And we're going to make this star shape, okay? And if you want to, you can go ahead and pin that shape. Like, mark it up. I'm going to wait just a second on mine. Because I want to let mine float a little bit. Alright. And if you want to use a straight edge for this, of course you can. Of course you can. The cool part about shapes like this, and there's only a few, is like you could have like different lengths, like depending on like where you put the center point of this, like different lengths of your line. And I think there's kind of something to that. It adds some like visual interest. I'm the type of person who likes to have things lined up nice and the same. But I think that visual interest is just like, when it's done, it's like, ooh, that's nice. That's different. It's clean. Alright, bolting up my lines a little bit. Alright, cool. So I did mine all like weird and uneven on purpose because I wanted to kind of force this, okay? So here is like a close-up of what this pattern looks like, okay? I'm gonna pull a blank card out. So you can imagine each of these like little triangle pieces, or each of these as little triangle pieces. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna have this like series of like almost like archways that connect to one another. And this is kind of what it's gonna do. This is gonna come up, and it's gonna have a little ball on the end, right? Then one's gonna come from this side and have a little ball on the end. And then this is going to come up here, have a little ball on the end. And this is going to come up over here and have a little ball on the end. Right, do you see what I'm doing? I'm just kind of like building these arches. Right, and you're going to stop whenever you feel like you fit it. Like, you know, if I think this is a good look, that's fine. But I could also like keep going until I got ones like this that are kind of flat at the bottom. Right, so that part would be up to you. Like I could have left those two out if I wanted to, but I'm gonna go and I'm just gonna work around the circle. I'm gonna do the same direction for everything, just because like for me that's like aesthetically what I like. But I showed you some stuff with Rick's Paradox where like depending on the direction of things, it can change the way things look. So I'm going to go around the circle and do this first line just like I did here. So all of these will be like cookie cutters of one another. But if you wanted to, you could go this way on this one and that way on the other one. And then you have kind of like 4 points kind of doing that same thing around. But if that's too confusing, then just kind of do what I'm going to do. Let me zoom out just a smidge to the line. And if you don't want to put that little dot there, you don't have to either. You may notice areas like that, like oops, like it's fine. In the end, it's not. It's all gonna look right. even though it doesn't always look the same. So yeah, so I can either add those little dots or not. I'm going to add mine for continuity, but I went back and did it. Alright, so now I'm going to go the other direction and do my second line of my arch, this one, going back in. So they'll come up like this, and then boom. See, this area is like real tight, but it's okay. All right, and I'm back to the start again, and I'm just gonna keep going. I'm gonna keep going that same one going this way, one going this way. If one of these runs out of space, I'll just stop. I'll just skip over that one. I'm definitely getting close on some of these. I'm running out of line. I could have skipped that part on that one because it's so minute, but I wanted it. So yeah, there we go. Betweed. I'm going to erase some pencil lines real quick, and then I'll show you guys how to shade this. Not bad at all. And the cool part about something like this, like when you go to like work on your card and stuff, if you did this in an area like this, and you could fill the area, of course, but you could also add some like other Zentangle patterns in here until they touch up with the Rick's paradox or kind of whatever. So I always like that about the betweed. Okay, the way this value works here, darker to lighter, that's all. So kind of like the top part, this like umbrella look. Any Resident Evil fans out there? So just kind of like leaving those kind of lighter, and then I'll slowly just get darker as I get closer to the bottom. Showing some value here. Umbrella Corp, that's it. I kept wanting to say Umbrella Academy, but that's a different thing. It's a good thing, but it's a different thing. Don't be sleeping on Umbrella Academy. Alright. So yeah, pretty simple. Betweed, the first betweed, and all the betweed. It looks like a compass almost when it's done. Yeah, kind of like this value scale. All right, let's move on to betweed number 2. Betweed the second. Dose tweed, if you will. All right, so this is the exact same pattern. It's the exact same setup. It's the whole archway thing. It's the whole, like, going to this side, back, forth, back, forth, back, forth. The only difference is we're making these little like windows into a framework. So the way I want to start this is like going to be one of those like divider type patterns, like flux, any of those. So I'll have like a line. Kind of need a thicker line for this one, and I think we'll use this pattern to end this line, and I'll show you how like the break works, because I think this is the most complicated part of this. it's like straight and then slightly dips in. So the way I was doing this was, all right, I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna do like a straight line. Zoom out a little bit. Right, and I'm gonna say, okay, this is how big I want this box to be. And what I'll do is I'll just like sharply curve them like that. Almost like it's a square, but it's got rounded edges. Kind of see that? And then what I'll do is I'll use this pattern to end this shape. So I'm gonna do the outside. I probably could have planned that a little better actually for the sake of this video, but it's okay. It'll be like, oh, this box is just open. Whereas I should have just capped it, but it's fine. All right, so I'm gonna move down the line here. Same deal. It's alright if it's not perfect. Right, sharp curve, rounded square, straight line, boom. Kind of see building like a ladder almost, actually. Weird. Oops. It's not what I want to do, but that's okay. It'll be alright. I'm just going to leave that open. That's fine. Alright, so now I have my film reel here ready to go. I'm gonna insert this same pattern. I'm gonna go just kind of the same thing, kind of to the right, to the left. If you want to, you could do like this one, making a pattern going this way and then flip it over and then go the other direction. You can get all kinds of creative on this, or you can just like keep it clean, keep it simple. I'm gonna take this first one about to the middle there, and I'm gonna do that for all of mine. All right, I'm gonna say this one, it ended, so it's not there. All right, and then this one, maybe we just see that much of it. All right, so now I'm gonna come back from the other side. Right, and then back again. All the betweens. And like I said, it makes this like archway. And of course, if you make these more narrow, it's going to be like a little more squished this way, taller, you can fit more, all those things. All right. The way you shade this is, you pretend like these lines here, these lines are like pillars, so they're not really messed with. So you only kind of shade on one side, so like half of it I'll kind of shade lightly. It's like I'm not even like, it's like I don't even care that the pattern's there. I'm just looking at those like outer columns. And then just one side, as you get closer to that center column, or that column, it'll get a little darker. And right up against it, get pretty dark. Like that. Some of y'all have asked the secret to blend markers. Here's one of them. when you do your darkest color, come back over it with your lightest color. And it'll kind of like blend some of that dark out a little bit, because you're re-adding whatever medium the marker is back to the paper. Alright, so that's between two. Man, I really cannot wait to see what you guys come up with this one. I'm super excited to film this pattern. Very like geometric yet organic in some cases. But yeah, I can't wait to see what you guys do. Zentangle 21. I'll catch you in 22.